Welcome to the Positive Gene Podcast. My name is Sara Kavanaugh. This is a podcast empowering cancer previvors and survivors, like myself, over our hereditary cancer risk. I started this podcast because I had so many questions after receiving my genetic testing results and not only wanted, but needed to truly understand what it meant to have an inherited cancer mutation. We will discuss important topics from a patient perspective, like finding credible online resources, opportunities connecting with others for support, and building your medical team, and so much more. Thank you for allowing me to use my God-given talent for talking, researching, and all things communications. We're all in this together, and I'm so thankful for your support. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. It's Sara Kavanaugh, and this is the Positive Gene Podcast. Today, we're discussing a patient's perspective on 5 essential considerations for genetic testing. Now, I want to make it clear, I am not here to sway your opinion for or against genetic testing. Think of this journey as a path with many turns, one that is deeply personal and unique for each of us. My own experience with genetic testing led me down roads I never expected. It brought challenges like my hysterectomy and thyroid surgery, but it also opened doors to advocacy work, launching this podcast, and speaking about taking control of your health. But remember, my role here is to present a balanced view. These are insights and considerations that I wish I had fully understood before my own genetic testing journey. So I'm here to share these learnings, offering you unbiased and comprehensive insights so you can see all sides of this important issue and make informed decisions about your own healthcare journey. Now, in the world of genetic testing, especially concerning hereditary cancer, it's crucial to approach this subject with a clear and informed perspective. To guide our exploration in this vast journey of genetics, we'll focus on 5 considerations that anyone thinking about genetic testing should reflect upon. These considerations are designed to help you navigate this decision with confidence and clarity. Now, before we jump into our discussion today, there's 2 things that I want to mention. First, while we talk about genetic testing, it's crucial to distinguish between comprehensive cancer genetics testing done through a genetic counselor and what you might find with consumer genetic testing products. The comprehensive tests done by professionals are much more detailed, and they cover specific genes that might be missed in consumer tests. Plus, the comprehensive tests come with invaluable support and guidance of genetic counselors. And also, another reminder is that I am not a medical expert. My insights come from my personal journey as a hereditary cancer previvor and advocate. And this podcast is here to share experiences and knowledge, but be sure to always consult with healthcare professionals for your own healthcare decisions. Okay, back to our 5 considerations. First, why test or not? Exploring the reasons behind the decision to undergo or skip genetic testing. 2, what matters to you? Ensuring your decision about genetic testing aligns with your personal beliefs and life goals. 3, expert guidance. So how genetic counselors can help you through the testing process. 4, weighing the options. So understanding the benefits and drawbacks of genetic testing. And 5, handling the emotions. Getting ready for the feelings that might come with genetic testing. Now, to the first one, why test or not? So let's take a moment to chat about what drives us toward or away from genetic testing. For me, it began with a mix of worry and the need to know more about my health because of my family's history with cancer. This push for deeper answers is something many of us feel, especially when we're faced with the possibility of hereditary cancer. But it's not a clear-cut decision for everyone. Some of us might hold back because of the heavy emotions that come with the results, like anxiety or stress, or privacy concerns and the fear of discrimination at work or by insurance companies, despite legal protections. That can also weigh on our minds. There's also the real chance that the results might not be black and white, leaving us with more questions than answers. And not to mention the impact this knowledge could have on our families, the cost, or even getting to a place where testing's available. Finally, let's not look over personal beliefs. Some folks might prefer to deal with health issues as they come, not before. Now, on the flip side, there are plenty of strong reasons to consider genetic testing. Beyond my own curiosity and wanting to take charge of my health, genetic testing can be a game changer for proactive health management. It's about getting ahead of the risks, making smart choices for your future well-being. Making informed decisions about medical care is another big one. Say you're at risk for Lynch syndrome. Knowing this could lead you to opt for preventative measures. Thinking of starting a family? The insights from genetic testing can help you make informed decisions there too. Then there's the peace of mind that can come with knowing your genetic risk. It's like closing a book filled with what-ifs. And if you do test positive for a mutation, it often opens doors to dedicated healthcare resources and support systems. So as we peel back the layers of personal motivation behind genetic testing, we find a complex interplay of fears, hopes, practicalities, and the human desire to know oneself. It's about balancing these factors against what we value most and making the choice that's right for us. In fact, when it comes to deciding about genetic testing for hereditary cancer, it really boils down to our second point: what's important to you and what you believe in. Some of us might like to have the driver's seat when it comes to our health, seeing genetic testing as a way to stay ahead and make smart choices for the future. It's about matching this decision with what you stand for. If you're someone who likes to call the shots and be prepared, knowing your genetic makeup can give you the power to plan better and take control of your health steps. On the other hand, things like religious beliefs or personal ethics can play a big role too. For some, if genetic testing doesn't fit with their spiritual beliefs or moral views, they might choose to not go for it. Also, think about your life plans and dreams. If you're aiming for a career or a lifestyle that could be affected by knowing your genetic risks, you might see genetic testing in a different light. In the end, deciding to get tested is a personal thing. It's all about how it fits with your way of looking at health, your freedom to make your own choices, your ethical views, and what you want for your future. All right, so now we've talked about personal reasons and what we value. Now let's shift gears a bit and get into more hands-on part of genetic testing. This is where genetic counselors come into play. Think of them as your personal guides in the world of genetics. They know the ins and outs of this stuff, and they can make sense of what your genes might be telling you. If you're leaning towards getting tested, you'll likely meet with one of these pros, and they're awesome at breaking down what your test results mean and how they could affect you and your family. Now, as I'd shared on my personal journey, I had met with a genetic counselor before my testing and after my testing, and it made a huge difference in that process. The insights that I learned from that first conversation to the time that I got my results to now has been significant. And all of that has stemmed from having a conversation with a knowledgeable genetic counselor who guided me through that process. Okay, next up, we're talking about informed decision-making, weighing those options. Making smart healthcare choices isn't just knowing the science. It's about how the science fits with what you want and believe. And one way to accomplish this is by weighing the pros and cons of genetic testing. Now, we've discussed several elements from both perspectives. So truly, you really need to think about what's in it for you with genetic testing. On the bright side, it can really clear up questions about your health risks and guide you towards the right kind of healthcare. But it's not a one-way street. You might find out stuff that affects not just you, but your family too. Plus, while it's more available these days, it's not always cheap, and not everyone can get it done. In fact, let's turn our attention to something that's often left in the background when we talk about genetic testing: the emotional side. This journey is more than just the technicalities. It's about how it impacts you emotionally. Learning that you have a genetic mutation can be a lot to take in. It can stir up feelings about your identity, affect how you interact with your family, or influence major life decisions. Handling these emotions is a critical part of the process. It's about seeking support, taking the time to think things through, and just being kind to yourself as you process this new information. So how do you approach this? The key is to arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can. And I'm talking about either before you decide to test and definitely after. So talking to healthcare professionals and considering reaching out to organizations like FORCE at facingourrisk.org, where they have counselors or just resources online to help you feel a little bit more comfortable about what you're facing. Also, the National Society of Genetic Counselors at nsgc.org, they can help you with guidance and support as well. Then reflect on this information in the context of what's most important to you. Remember, it's completely okay to reevaluate your choices as you go along. Making decisions about your health isn't always straightforward. Sometimes you might need to explore different avenues before you find the one that truly fits you and your situation. So let's consider the choice to not go for genetic testing. It's a valid decision, often about embracing life without the what-ifs. For some, it's about living in the present, not overshadowed by potential future health issues, and this approach means facing health challenges as they arrive, rather than trying to predict them. And not opting for testing can be a way to avoid the stress and anxiety that might come with knowing about genetic risks. It's a different way of managing uncertainty, focusing on the here and now, rather than possible future scenarios. Remember, whether to test or not is deeply personal, and it's about what feels right for you in your journey. So as we come to an end of today's discussion, I hope you found these insights and considerations around genetic testing enlightening and thought-provoking. Remember, the path of genetic testing, like any significant journey, is filled with its own sets of challenges and rewards. My own journey has been a mix of unexpected turns, from dealing with medical procedures to finding a new purpose in advocacy and empowerment. But what's most important is that each of us walks this path in our own way, armed with knowledge and understanding. I encourage you to ponder these considerations, reflecting on your own values and circumstances, and seek advice from professionals where needed. Your journey, whether it leads you to genetic testing or in a different direction, is a deeply personal one, and it's crucial that it aligns with your beliefs, hopes, and dreams. Thank you for joining me today. If my experiences in these discussions can illuminate your path even just a little, then sharing my journey has been worth it. Thank you for spending time with me on the Positive Gene podcast. Your support means everything. If you found value in today's episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It truly makes a difference. For an in-depth look and links to resources discussed today, check out the accompanying blog on my website at sarakavanaugh.com. Until next time, stay empowered and remember, you are not alone on this journey.